están pasando muchas cosas en Ámsterdam con psicodélicos. Hay un movimiento que veo, me da la impresión de que está subiendo más en el mundo entero. Y hoy hemos tenido una conversación con Miriam de Guided Tripping, la cual lleva su empresa en la que puedes ir allí, tomar tus trufas mágicas con ella y tener tu viaje, sesión terapéutica. Es algo que me parece de ciencia ficción para España, y creo que puede ser muy interesante para vosotros. Así que, bueno, estaba bastante nervioso de hacer este vídeo. Nunca he tenido a nadie grabando conmigo. He contratado a una persona y tantas luces y tal. Sí que me grabo yo solo en casa, pero no es lo mismo, ¿eh? Así que yo creo que ha ido bastante bien. Ya veremos con el resultado, pero os dejo con la entrevista. Vamos allá. Antes de nada, quiero dar las gracias a todas esas personas que nos apoyan en Patreon. Es por vosotros que sigo teniendo fuerzas para hacer estos vídeos. Los temas que trato no son muy adecuados para YouTube, por lo que esta es prácticamente mi única fuente de ingresos. Estos vídeos necesitan de horas y horas de preparación y dedicación, además de materiales no muy baratos que digamos. Si disfrutas estos vídeos y quieres que siga haciendo más, por favor, considera invitarme a un café al mes. Puede no parecer mucho, pero si solo la mitad de las personas que siguen este canal pusiesen su granito de arena, esto podría seguir creciendo. Y si no, siempre puedes ayudarnos con un buen like y bueno. No digo más, os dejo con la entrevista.
So first of all, thank you very much, Miriam, for letting us this space and time for this chatting.
I'm looking forward to it.
Because as you know, I make these videos for Spanish people, and I think might be really interesting what you're doing, because Miriam has a company called Guided Tripping, and it's related to psychedelics.
True.
Can you tell us a little more about it? Like, what it's about?
Yeah, so at Guided Tripping we support people having psychedelic experiences to make the most out of that for their personal development. Mm-hmm. Right, so there's a difference between a recreational psychedelic experience where maybe you're in a house with friends or at a party and the main aim is to have fun and enjoy maybe the visuals and whatever feelings come up. But in an intentional space like the one we create, it's about an intention that you have for yourself, to look inward, to use the openness that these substances create as a way into yourself, to explore parts of yourself that seem to either keep you blocked or that have been with you for a long time, but you don't, and you've worked on them and you think, I've done this meditation, I've been to therapy, I understand how all these things work, and still I'm not able to shift.
It's like you know there's something wrong, let's say, but you don't know how to get it out of the way.
The thing is, it's interesting because many people think about it as something is wrong and it needs to go away.
Yeah.
Right? And actually what happens almost all the time is that people realize during an experience like this, oh, right, I actually, first of all, had and have a very good reason to feel this way. I don't need to get rid of it. It is an integral part of me.
Yeah.
I just don't need to let it, as my friend would say, drive the bus.
Yeah.
Right? And so you can create a more loving relationship with that part of yourself instead of trying to get rid of it, because apparently that's not been working so far.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what wasn't working. No?
Yeah, so that's actually a very interesting flip that happens. Is like this thing that we thought of as wrong actually ends up being just a part of yourself that was a little bit panicky and a little bit like trying to run the show, but it doesn't need to anymore. It doesn't need to go away. It just also doesn't need to run the show. And that is actually, that is such a beautiful process to be a part of and to be with people, supporting them in having those realizations for themselves. And when I say realizations, it's not just about this, right? It's about a full, embodied, all levels of your system that go, oh, aha. And that's very beautiful to be a part of. Yeah.
How do you start with this actually?
That's a good question. In a previous life, I was a university teacher, and I was a coach for first year students, and so I worked with groups most of the time, but also one-on-one. And then I burnt out. As people do a lot in education and in other parts of the working world as well. And I realized I needed to do something that didn't burn me out. Like I could bring my full self, but it didn't drain me. And I was kind of in Holland, aside from certain psychedelics being legal, there are other things that are very nice about the social system, which meant that I had about a year of paid leave, shall we say, to figure out what I wanted to do next. And so I just kind of browsed, and I was thinking about doing circling workshops, and circling is a methodology that has helped me a lot. Some psychedelic experiences with friends, and I started to notice that those two things, the circling and the other personal development work that I had been doing, and the psychedelic experiences started to inform each other. They were parallel tracks, but they started to weave together. And I was talking about that to a friend who's actually also a circler, and he said, oh, could you sit with me? Because I've been wanting to have an experience like that, but in my country, is also not from here, you're not allowed to do that, and I don't know who to do that with, and I trust you. Because like you said, it's important that the people feel comfortable. And so I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. And it turned out to be a very impactful day for him. And he said, you need to stop doing what you're doing and do this, because it's needed.
And that was the moment you were burning out.
I was already in a burnout at that point, or close to it. And so I was like, I don't have time for this right now, I can't. But it just kept propping up. And at some point I surrendered. I thought, okay, first I thought this is not a real job, Maybe like people in Spain would also think,
well, I'm pretty sure they
think. But now I've been, and not just me, but I've been making my main source of income for over a year now.
So this is your business, this is your profession.
Yeah, this is my job. Is to support people in an intense psychedelic state, and to then help them translate what they experienced into their day-to-day life, because that's another important part. Is not just the intention that you set beforehand, but also being guided or supported during the experience itself, and then integrating that experience.
Yeah, that's the difficult part.
Oh my, that's when what they say is that's when the real work starts. But I think it's important to help people make that transition from that experience that is quite extraordinary and to translate it in such a way that they can practice and practice and practice so that it can become a part of their reality instead of this weird thing.
Yeah, this weird word you go once and I feel like, at least in my experience, when you have this kind of experiences where they take you out of society in so many ways and culture, it's difficult to come back to your daily life and integrate that experience as part of it. That is not like some crazy thing that happened in the past and now you feel different and maybe people don't understand you and depends how your life is. Could be quite challenging, no?
Very.
I guess you get difficult times with people, I guess, to come back to their lives. Well, challenging.
Challenging, but also it's very important, I think, for people to understand. Please don't change your whole life the day after a psychedelic experience, right? Test whatever insights you gained. Test them, try them out, you know. Mm-hmm. And so that's what that translation process that we support people in their integration is about. For instance, there was a man who really clearly, noetically knew he had to leave his job. Mm-hmm. He had to. It was super clear. But he's not going to be stupid about it, right? So he didn't leave his job the next day. He just started putting things in place for what he wanted after that. Yeah. He started looking at houses in a different city. He started putting money aside for something. He started browsing for different jobs, right? He's not just going to pull the plug on his life and be gone, but he did have a plan, right? And so that's kind of...
And that experience was what triggered that intention, no? Like maybe he had inside him and realized, like, oh, maybe I should change this.
Yeah. He was doubting and he wasn't feeling happy, but he was also in his job, but he also felt caged. Yeah. Right? He couldn't just leave, and he had all these really ideas. No, you can't possibly, Carlos. Just do what you want to do.
What you need to do, what you should be doing.
Yeah. So he had those doubts already, but he just didn't see a way out. And something about an experience like this can just kind of like zap you out and look at your life from a bigger perspective and go, oh, actually. If I do it this way, then it's really quite possible. Or, this belief that I am responsible for not just my own work, but also my colleagues and their happiness. I can't leave my colleagues, right? Was one of the things that he was telling himself. And then he thought, actually, I can, you know? And actually, maybe it's inspiring to them if I leave. Yeah. And they can be happier, right? So there's an opportunity to tell yourself a different story that is more helpful for where you are now in your life.
Yeah. It can challenge your system of belief, these experiences, no?
Sure, yeah. But what I really think is important is to, challenge that, but then be gentle about it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. There was one person who in the intake said that he was afraid, like I always ask people, what are you afraid of? Yeah. Right? What are you worried about? And that can be anything from, I'm going to go crazy and I'm not going to come back from the experience, right? To I'm very afraid of, I'm very afraid of snakes. Mm-hmm. And I'm afraid that during the experience it'll just be snakes, right? That I see. Or, and this one guy said, I don't want to become somebody that stops showering and shaving. And quits his job and doesn't make any money anymore.
He didn't want to become a dirty hippie.
Right? And I thought that was so funny. And I told him, you know what? Maybe.
And what if you are dirty?
Exactly. If that's not inside of you, it won't come out. Yeah. Because that's the thing. If it's not already inside of you, it won't come out during an experience like this. It's very funny though. I thought it was one of the funniest questions.
It's like being afraid of what you actually are, but you don't know that you are still, kinda.
Yeah, and you want to kind of... Yeah.
You want to become what you could be because you are afraid of what you could be.
Yeah. It's very funny how people can be their own enemy, right? Or fight their internal battles between different
also
parts of themselves.
The resistance of change, I guess, not because we identify so much with the personality and the patterns we have, so it's difficult to let that go, even if it's not healthy for us.
No. I think it's the people that are drawn to this kind of work, they understand that there might be something that they want to change. So there's an ache, right? There's a pain, there's something that's not working.
There's a calling, no? That's why they
also
go to you, probably.
Yeah.
And they go to these experiences.
Yeah, exactly. They have a sense that more is possible. And they might be afraid of it. And that's why it's also kind of nice, because after a day like this and you've seen all the possibilities and whatever, you've gone to outer space and you've seen all the fractals and all the things about your life, you are still allowed to go back to your life as it was, right? It's just an experiment. If you don't like what you see, don't do anything with it, right? So it's a kind of a safe way of exploring different options for your life, And different stories that you tell yourself, because, that was one of my own, oh gosh.
Your own experience?
Oh, I was not being nice to myself,
I think a lot of people can relate to you.
I think a lot
Me
of people
too.
can relate. Yeah, and so one of my turning point experiences was when I was actually at a festival and I was dancing in the sun. And I had this very short hallucination of myself, like about as far away from me as you are.
You were having a journey? Or?
I was, and I where you are about now, I was dancing, and I was dancing with myself.
Wow.
And I saw myself there, and I thought, oh, that's actually a really nice woman. Why am I being so crappy to her? She's trying, she's doing her best. She's sweet. She does most things well. She's not perfect. Why am I being crappy to her? And I just stopped. It's crazy.
Just like that?
Just like that.
Oh, wow.
I mean, let me put it another way. Whenever I start having those thoughts again,
You see.
I just go, hey, we weren't going to do that anymore.
Fuck off,
Remember? And it's a much nicer experience to be me now, right? It used to not be so fun. Yeah, so are you sensitive, and then what's the kind of experience that you're looking for?
What background do you have?
What background do you have any kind of experience with these kinds of things? And then we kind of just like play it by ear, and talk about what they want.
And then they can hear they had experience with you, and you have like a team, no?
I have a team.
How many you are?
We're with 5 now. Yeah, and that's really amazing. So these are all people that I trust, and we all have our own flavor, but everybody has this baseline of, no, we're here to let you have your own experience and to support whatever process wants to happen. We all, like I said, know circling, so that's a way of being with another person without trying to change anything, but really being authentic about what's going on. And I call these substances kind of like a truth serum. You cannot bullshit yourself or other people when you've got a high dose of this in your system. It's just, you're going to be real about things. So that's very helpful. And then what do you put through that? You open up a door inside yourself, and what comes through the door, out of you or into you. That's kind of what we'd be here to support you with. Yeah, so we work one-on-one mostly. There's others that work in group spaces and that have like longer weekends and stuff like that. And
But guided tripping is only
guided tripping
one-on-one
is
session.
one-on-one. On very rare occasions we do group things, but actually one-on-one is our modality. And then a one-day thing. So we do some stuff beforehand and some stuff afterward, but it's a one-day format. Yeah.
Did you ever have a person coming to you that they had like a bad trip, let's say, a bad experience?
In my room, no.
Never.
What
do you do to escape that, to avoid that bad trip?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I have multiple answers to it. Number one, there's a big difference, I think, between having a bad experience and a difficult experience or a challenging experience, right? So you're obviously acquainted with the difference, this distinction. So I would say, like, quintessential bad trip, somebody is prone to, like, has a family history of psychosis or schizophrenia.
Would you accept those people in the first place?
No.
Because it can trigger something they have inside.
Schizophrenia, I'd have to. One of the people on the team now, we have a trained therapist on the team, which is going to be helpful. But that's very, very tricky territory. Very tricky territory. So please do not enter without very proper and maybe not at all preparation. And then they go to a festival with friends. It's nighttime. They lose their friends. They don't know where their tent is.
They're taking all their substances.
They take a lot. They didn't come on, so they took some more. And then all of a sudden they're in hell, right? And there's no sense of time, so you don't know that it's going to end.
Yeah.
And there's like, you just, and there's no container for it. There's nobody to tell you actually it's going to be okay, and just here, have some sugar, And so that can be, that can be very bad. And that can be also very hard. It can take a long time to kind of recover from that psychologically.
Yeah, you can get, it's like this substance, it can recover, it can heal trauma, but it can also cause trauma.
True.
If you don't do it in a proper way, no?
Yeah. So your question was
how to avoid
that. So that's a bad trip. A difficult trip is when challenging, dark materials, maybe memories of trauma come up, or symbols for trauma come up, and you can relate with them, and you can maybe with the support of another person there go, actually, I don't want to run away from you. I want to meet you. I want to meet you head on and let me know what you have to tell me. Show me. And so that's a very different relationship, right? Of either going into it fully or relating to it instead of trying to get away from it, which is the main thing that people will try to do. Because there's a misconception that if it's dark, it's bad.
Yeah.
Right? And so actually, this is part of you. And let's see what's there. And so you can imagine maybe that if there's someone there that goes, yeah, you got this, just keep breathing. Ask it a question. See if you can bring some curiosity instead of just panic.
Yeah.
Right? That already makes a huge difference. And then there's all these contraindications, right? So like schizophrenia or other pre-existing conditions, or people that are on high doses of SSRIs, so antidepressants, different types of antidepressants. There's a bunch of stuff, like if one of these factors apply, please don't do this. Yeah. So it's precautionary, and then dosage, purity, that kind of stuff. Intention, set and setting. That's one of the catchphrases that start from the 70s, set and setting.
And I have a more personal question, maybe, like, what do you think they are? What do they mean to you, psychedelics?
That's a good question. I would say they are I think I used the term, they open doors inside a person and inside me, and it allows a shifting around of different parts of me. What do they mean to me? This is difficult territory, right? It's ineffable. Like I said, it's ineffable, but I'll try. So one of the ways that I really like to describe it is that, especially if you've done a lot of work already and you've had all these therapies, all these things, you know why things are happening, you've explored your trauma, whatever, you've done all these practices, meditation and whatnot. All these elements are kind of like floating around in your consciousness, but there's a way where, because it's very associative and not linear, the psychedelic experience, all these things can start to fit together in a way that didn't seem possible before. And so people have described it like, kind of like a snow globe, right? Things just get thrown up in the air and they fall back in a different way. That seems to make more sense, that is more healthy, that is more helpful, more sane, if you will, more kind. I think one of the things that became possible for me, for instance, is self-compassion. There's a way where you can, it's clarity, like it's very clear. But I used to use clarity as a stick to beat myself with. This is wrong. This doesn't work. Why do you keep doing it? Right? So there's this clarity, but there's a judgment.
Yeah. But you mean that you were doing that to yourself without recognizing, let's say.
Yeah. And so that clarity is still there. Like I see what's going on. Like I said, you can zoom out, right? You go like, whoa, I do that? Wow. And then so there's the clarity, but there's also the love or the self-compassion or the understanding. Also for other people. But also for yourself, where you can go, oh, actually, I was really, really young when I started doing this thing. And at the time, it made total sense. And I'm so sorry for that little kid that he had to start, or she had to start applying these strategies to get through the freaking day. Right? So instead of beating myself up that I'm still doing this thing that obviously isn't serving me, I can go, oh, yeah.
It basically, in your experience, helps you to be a better person, no? With yourself and with others.
I would say so. It definitely has that potential. And it has to be said that it doesn't work like that for everybody. And there are people that seem to be very resistant to it, that don't seem to have any experience even on higher doses.
Some people just see colors and say like, whoa, there was something here, blah, blah, and they just come back to their destructive lives.
Sure. There's a lot of factors that play into that, but like I said, it has, for sure, has that potential.
At the end, I guess, it's you, no? I mean, it's coming from you if you want to change or not.
Exactly. One of the things that I really like, I don't remember who said it, but somebody said, when you're on psychedelics or when you have an experience like this, when God answers the phone, hang up.
Yeah, I think it was McKenna.
Was it McKenna? Yeah, I like that a lot.
If you get the call, hang up the phone.
Hang up the phone, because basically you can keep calling. Sometimes people just go like, ooh, I need to have another one of those, that was awesome.
Yeah.
And they start to associate how good they felt with being on the substance. And so they want to have more of the substance.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for many reasons, but one of the reasons is if you get the message from God or whatever, or the universe, or yourself, your higher self, whatever, about what to do, don't keep calling, you'll get the same answer.
Yeah.
Just go do the thing. Gently, easily, no rush, but go do the thing. And then maybe,
It's like the substance itself is telling you, what are you doing here again? I got that experience. So what are you doing here? Just come back and do your shit or whatever you need to do.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
do you think these substances have the potential to... How do you see the future of the world society? Because now there's ayahuasca is moving a lot around the world, and well, weed is getting more legalized, even though it's not really psychedelic, but still.
It can be,
mushroom-
but
yeah, it can be, but
not fun.
yeah, the same for me. For example, now that mushrooms are getting legalized in some states, in Colorado and Denver, and here in Netherlands, there's a bigger movement in my experience since last year at least, where there's more movement.
Momentum, for
yeah,
sure.
no, I feel something is happening.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you see this can affect the world?
There's something about this class of substances that I think is starting to be more and more recognized. And mostly because there's a lot of research coming out now, but that's more in the mental health arena of depression, anxiety, end-of-life anxiety, post-traumatic stress, where it's more, the research currently is mostly about with ayahuasca and MDMA. And those are all really, really beautiful things. And so it's having the re-emergence, because this was known in the 70s, in the 80s, people were working with MDMA as couples therapy,
psychotherapy, PTSD.
Exactly.
treatment.
So this was known, but then it got repressed for reasons. I think that's not going to be possible now anymore, because these things like PTSD and depression are just rampant. And so many people suffer from them, and they are looking for something better than antidepressants.
Yeah.
So it doesn't seem helpful. That potential is becoming more and more recognized in the mental health world. And now also with books of like Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind.
Did you read it?
I read it. I had him sign it. I'm very happy.
I couldn't go to the meeting.
It was very good. He talks a lot about the betterment of well people, right? So if you don't have a particular diagnosis, and that's actually our main focus at Guided Tripping, is the betterment of well people, right? So there's the recreational version, there's the mental health healing, trauma healing version, and then there's in the middle there's the intentional personal development, self-exploration version, which I think is basically what we specialize in. And some therapeutic things can happen, for sure, but we're not therapists, right?
Yeah.
So we're not, besides our new member, Hanneke. So that's kind of out of our league, shall we say. But that's what I hope for just to come back to that point, is that if people want to engage in this type of experience and see if it's going to be able to bring them something, to be happier with themselves, to feel more fulfilled in life, to feel more connected to the world around them, to the people around them, to themselves, I think that has a huge potential.
And that shouldn't be lost telling you.
It's not going to be. It's not going to be lost. It is too big right now. People are, I don't think, even if legally the repression continues or becomes bigger again, I don't think this can be silenced anymore. It's just too clear, and too many people know about it, right? So
yeah, with internet you cannot stop.
I mean, you're doing your part. You're doing your part in this, and I appreciate that. And it's I think one of the things that's very important is to keep saying, yes, this has enormous potential, and don't take it lightly.
Yeah.
These are risks, these are contraindications, take them seriously. Sorry, I was spitting. Take them seriously. Yeah. It's really not a toy.
So, can you tell the people watching us where can they find you if they are interested in what you do?
Cool, yeah. So the website is www.guidedtripping.com. There's the team is there, they present themselves. There's a lot of information about what a session looks like, about what psychedelics are in general. And you could just have a browse. And if that hits home for you, then reach out to us. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miriam.
Yeah, this beautiful
Yes.
conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you're doing.
Well, thank you for what you're doing. I think it's pretty cool, and people should just be free to do what they, if they want to have this experience, to do it safely. And I appreciate you support that desire of people in a safe way.
Thank you.